did you try to restart the app or whatever? It's like, so I first thing I do, I can't go and say, before you run through your script,
Yeah, right.
let me tell you everything that I've done.
Yeah, right.
And I go boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Can you escalate?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And then I'd say 60 to 70% of the time they can escalate.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes they still have to go through the script, right? There's no way around it because that's the rules.
That's just the
But usually, if you get a guy who actually knows their job, they go, oh, okay, yeah, all right, you've done all those things. Let's go on to the next thing.
Yeah, exactly. So I go see my doctor this coming up next Friday. And what I got is I went and got all my images for my foot. And so basically in a 30-minute chat with Grok, it told me, this is probably what you have. He goes, this is the things you want to measure. And so I think my arch is declining, but it told me how to go look at side views and draw a line from this and measure the angle. And what you'll probably see is that angle is declining. And so what you need is support underneath your arch to support that, to get back to this angle.
That's also pretty much age, though, right? Our arches go down with age.
Yeah, but it's this thing called Liz Frank that has to do with it. And so then it's not supporting, and that causes other problems. But I mean, just the fact, Chris, in 30 minutes that I know this, I mean, that information a year ago would have been invisible to me.
So there's a positive and a negative, and you're focusing on the positive. Let me just bring up the negative real quick, because I know you're aware of it, but I want to make sure that we're clear. So anyone who's listening, the negative, of course, is any additional context around it that might be relevant.
Yes.
Right. So you've gone 30 minutes in, you know this topic, you understand it, you understand probably how it relates to you.
A little,
but there may be
bit,
there may be elements around the fringes that contextually could change your understanding.
Oh, absolutely.
That aren't part of that conversation. Right. So that would be the, but you're aware of that. So you're aware that that's a possibility.
People need to be for a fact that's going to happen.
People need to understand that just because they understand a piece of information doesn't mean they understand the entire scenario of that situation.
No. So for me, what I've done is I've scheduled out appointments beforehand. Like I'm going to this thing called Snell that builds all the shoes and everything, and I'm going to meet with them before. I'm going to say, hey, this is what I know. But then, so in my point, every step along this way, I gain more and more information. So by the time I get to the doctor, I should have at least an initial cut of some kind of understanding.
So like for me, for shoes, I've got several different inserts.
Yeah.
One I got years ago from my chiropractor. And then I also have the flat shoes, the barefoot shoes, the ones that don't have any support on them. And I just kind of go through different shoes on different days of the week. More to keep my feet, tired, I guess, or to work them.
Yeah.
So some days I'll use a really high arch, and then at the end of the day, my arch will be sore because it was so high.
Oh,
other days I'll use no arch.
Yeah.
And then, and so I'm kind of of the opinion that you need to change things up so your feet are always.
Well, that may or may not be right. You have to probably test that to see if that's actually the right thing to do or not,
So it used to be I would always wear different arches.
Yeah.
And some days it really, if you're on your feet a lot, if you're walking a lot, that really seemed to help me kind of get through the day. So, but if I'm not walking a lot and I'm not on my feet a lot, then what I find is kind of letting the toe box open up and let your toes spread out seem to be a good thing.
Yeah.
But what I find is in those days, because particularly those shoes having very little softness to them, very little heel, that the impact gets to my knees quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
right?
That's right.
So, but I think everything's a trade-off. So if it's getting to my knees, that means I can't do as much walking overall, but I think it's having a different impact on my feet. So I kind of switch it up based upon what I know I'm going to do for the day.
Well, it could be. I mean, that could be totally like a totally bad strategy. So you got to somehow evaluate whether that works or not,
So what I find out is foot pain I rarely have. I almost never have foot pain.
Yeah, right. It's in your knee because the knee is the weak point of the system.
The knee is my weak point, yes.
Yeah, exactly. But it starts at the feet, though.
Well, in my case, I have a bad knee.
Yeah.
Right. So I think even no matter what I do, even if I'm perfect with my feet, it's still going to impact my knee. Well, the question is how quickly it impacts the knee.
Quickly, yeah, because ultimately this is pure physics, right? This is completely modelable. In fact, what I was thinking about doing, Chris, because I'm so psycho, I because I'm learning about load cells right now when I'm going back to like basic physics and everything. I was wondering if I could like 3D print like a series of load cells in my feet, because the problem is all the measurements, even at the doctor's office, even in the x-ray, everything is static. But I mean, this is a dynamic system that's moving. So what if I could have like 30 load cells in my shoe? And so I could literally model across time, like videotaping myself so it could see how my foot's moving and tracking that load cell and seeing how the force changes across time, and then designs a support based on that instead of static.
So you know the Soul Company, Dr. Scholl's or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So I remember in CVS they used to have a thing you would stand on,
Yeah.
and it could tell where on your foot pad the pressure was,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then it would recommend an insert based upon that.
Correct. Right.
So you want that, but you want to be able to do it while walking.
I want to do it dynamic because static is very different than dynamic forces. Very different. But here's the thing, Chris. Here's how it connects up to my foot, right? If I wouldn't have in the past couple of weeks been studying fundamental physics, I never would have even considered that static versus dynamic forces are different. So all of a sudden, because of my study in different domain, it now comes back to my foot.
Are different. The yes and no, right? Because at the high level, it's measuring the same thing, but what you're saying is because you're picking up changes in movement, that you're able to actually measure the impact in a different way.
Well, the force is not static. It's like if you do heel to tail, the force is going to change as your foot.
But in theory, it's the same thing. You're just measuring force across your foot.
Yeah, right. Across time, though.
Yeah,
it's different than just standing still and then measuring, because the forces will be different.
But when you say it's different in the impact on the foot.
The vectors of the force are going to be changing dynamically.
Yeah. Okay. But what is the value of the difference is what I'm getting.
Because if I provide an optimal solution, assuming that my foot is static, it's probably going to be a better answer if I cross time. How does my foot move across time, and how do the forces shift, right?
So when you said different, I was thinking standing versus walking is different. And therefore, if you understood the forces on your foot from one versus the other, there's a difference. There's a benefit in understanding that, and that's the difference.